UCF fans, this is Brian Smith with another edition of the Daily Night. Today, I am going to highlight some of the things that I think need to happen with UCF in regards to the defensive tackle position, both in recruiting / transfer portal and development. And to that point, I'm just going to get right into it. The number one thing is just numbers. UCF only had one recruit in the class of 2021 that's a D tackle that's still involved with the program, and that's Matthew Alexander out of Buford, Georgia. Great program. They've won back-to-back state titles in the state of Georgia. But there's also the need for numbers. And this is a young man that's a good player, but he's not in the rotation yet. So we really don't know much about him. And then there's also the problem of what if somebody gets hurt, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the transfer portal comes in. Excuse me. And I know that UCF is trying to find a D tackle. But here's a newsflash. So is everybody else. This is my concern. If UCF goes into next season without adding not just a defensive tackle from the transfer portal, but an impact defensive tackle from the transfer portal, it's going to catch them at some point in the 2022 season, meaning they're going to have a game where they give up 200 yards rushing. Period. UCF can say whatever they want. They're happy with their numbers and all that. I'm not buying it for one iota, not 1 second. They would like to sign somebody else. They just couldn't get them. They offered several D tackles. They couldn't get anybody. They didn't come close for the kids they wanted. That's just true. Now, whether or not that's going to hinder them this next season is iffy because, again, you can do something in the transfer portal, but it's not easy. They just got Terrence Lewis, though, so you can get elite players to come to UCF. That is proven. Terrence, for the class of 2021, just based on talent, was my number one recruit in the country, regardless of position and regardless of state. Off the field's a little different, but just from a talent perspective, he's incredible. Back to D tackle, though. Can UCF find just one guy, maybe two? I mean, a second one doesn't have to be a guy that's going to go in the second round of the draft. But can they find a couple of guys that can make an impact? Why not? I know Ash just transferred to USF, and a certain young man from North Carolina, who's also a greater Tampa area player, just transferred back. So kids are coming back to Florida that don't have immediate success. As most people probably know that follow recruiting around the state of Florida, Florida high school kids have zero patience. So you're going to probably see some chances. A kid goes to NC State, a kid goes to Tennessee, whatever it may be, and then they transfer back home. UCF knows this. Let's see what happens. And it could be a circumstance where one or two of the kids in question from a program that, they went up against and they lost to in the last 2 years, even before Malzahn was here at UCF, could come back. And it can happen anytime between now and fall camp. That's the weird thing about the transfer portal. There is no time frame. But I am, at this very juncture, extremely concerned about UCF in regards to the depth chart at defensive tackle. Now, with that, I'm just going to kind of go over it a little bit, and then we'll discuss further what it means. But you have Montalvo, you have Hester, you have Good, you have Barber. Those are four good football players. But none of them, beyond Barber, in my opinion, are an NFL player just yet. Cam Good really improved in the bowl game, but I still don't see the quick twitch that the NFL wants for pass rushing, etc. He's just strong as a bull, and he will not be outworked. Those are great combinations, by the way, but still they need more. And they, they also need the opportunity to get guys in the backfield based off combinations, working with the DNs. And we got to go through spring and see how they work with each other, because effectiveness is a unit. So it's not just individual. This is the ultimate team sport, the game of football. Big Cat won't be back. He's headed to the draft. Josh Seliskar and Tremont Morris-Brash will be back. That's a really, really good start at the end. Take that anywhere, SEC or otherwise, Alabama or otherwise. Those are guys that can play wherever talent-wise. The question is, can somebody like Landon Woodson, can somebody like him play inside and out? 3rd and 6, can he play 3 tech? Could he move to that when they play a 3-man line? Can he play down and be consistently effective? He could play both. I mean, he's long as heck. I really like his upside. I'm curious to see what he can do. I'm also curious to see if Montalvo can be a little bit more of a penetrator this next season, that would help regardless of what they bring in the transfer portal, because it's another body that's experienced. You trust him. Can he make that quote unquote jump? I mean, he could come back. I mean, that's not even a guarantee that he will. He got the COVID year. I don't know. Finally, with this, if they don't get that extra guy, this is my big thing, and I'll use a team that's familiar for UCF fans. When Alabama played Cincinnati, in my opinion, Cincinnati had the best 1-2 and probably 1-2-3 punch at corner in the country. All three will play in the NFL. Their top two for sure. Bryant and Gardner are very, very good. Their other corner is very good too. He's just a little bit overshadowed based on the other two guys. Even with those guys, they played cover 2, meaning they got 2 safeties deep and didn't want to give up a lot over the top, which I thought was a horrific game plan, but it puts it in perspective. They thought they had some talent up front. We'll try to get after the quarterback that way, blah, blah, blah. Number one, you're not going to out-scheme Saban / Bryce Young, who's one of the smartest quarterbacks you're going to see in college football, even though he's only a sophomore. Number two, you had to come up and challenge, and I'm surprised they didn't. But they didn't have a guy that was beefy, a 320 guy that was a dominant player. And okay, you're saying, well, aren't many of those? Exactly. There just aren't many guys that are over 3 bills that can get into the backfield and be a penetrator. Not a run stuffer, but a penetrator. Outside of the big man that plays nose guard for Georgia, who's not even human, Jordan Davis. I mean, he's about 360 conservatively. There really isn't a guy like that in college football. He's it. But if you can find guys like Hester and in that range that can at least help you, that's one thing. You still need another guy. So if they don't, you got to rotate more guys, because Jordan Davis, if you don't double team him, he will destroy your run game and destroy your quarterback, by the way, because he's so big and nobody can handle him one-on-one. So outside of Georgia, nobody's got that. What can you do to supplement? And it's just bodies. It's just rotation. So I'm worried about when UCF plays the SMU, the Houston, the Cincinnati, the other good teams in the conference. Can they find a way with current players, without adding anybody else, to play run defense and stay out of 2nd and 5 for the other team? And 2, when it's a critical down, meaning they got to get off the field, it's inside the 5, etc., or they got to have enough bodies at the end of a drive when they're tired to get a pass rush. And my answer to both of those right now is no and no. Ricky Barber, they're going to double team on every play, and they're going to force somebody else to beat them. That's my opinion. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but again, we still got to see if there's somebody else that comes in. And I know they're trying. Flat out, I know they're trying. It's just not easy. And again, there's no way for us to know, because a kid can say no, and then for whatever reason change his mind and go. Plus the visits happen and stuff. We don't always know when it happens in advance. UCF needs an impact tackle to add numbers. You're not going to get Jordan Davis. I get it. But they need a bigger body that can help not just Ricky Barber, but anybody that's in the game at that particular play, in that point of the game, have a better chance to go one-on-one. That increases your talent, because it increases what you're able to do. Going against 1 is better than going against 2. They need another guy, because otherwise they're just going to wear Ricky Barber out. By game 6, he's going to be a shell of himself. They need somebody else. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. But think about what it's like to be at a school like Alabama. They've got Anderson, who's the best all-around player probably in college football, the defensive end. They have to double him in some ways and or chip him with a running back or tight end or whatever. But they still got to think about other D linemen in Alabama. When you have to look at multiple, it changes everything that an offense does. And that's where UCF needs to get. At the end of this year, they had to kind of do that against UCF, and they tore up Florida's offensive line in the Gasparilla Bowl. You must have NFL talent, period. No other question about it, to be really good on defense. NFL talent. It's not about scheme. It's not about NFL talent. UCF doesn't have enough of it for this next year, in my opinion. Their front group will be pretty good. Still got some younger guys. We got to figure it out. And I'm not sure, like anybody else, we don't get any access to practice, so I'm going to be down on them until they prove me otherwise. And I know Gus isn't going to change that, so I'm going to be harsh about it. They don't give me access to practice, I'm down on your guys about it. You got to prove that they're ready to play. I don't want to hear any talk at a press conference. Have to see it with my eyes. That being said, UCF, I'm really curious to see Matthew Alexander. Is he going to be back next year? Is he going to be ready? How big is he going to be? Is he a nose guard? Is he a 3-tech? Can he play both? I have more questions than they have time in the day. That guy, and then hopefully one, if not two more players, need to be added to like Keenan Hester, need to be added to Montalvo, etc. They need 6 guys minimum they can rotate in and out. That's how you win at an elite level in college football. Depth on defense. Athletes, lots of them, big, fast, strong, better than the team in front of you. Period. It is about recruiting. So with that, I'm going to end this one. Everybody have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.